I have a Switch,
Xander's
and it's not on there either.
And
yeah, I'm waiting
we
for Xander
are
to
live.
Hi.
Howdy, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. We have a brand spanking new trailer for Strange New World Season 2 to discuss. So we are, I guess, in full-on Strange New Worlds promotion mode right now. We're just going to see
oh yeah,
a lot of synergy from Paramount Plus, getting people hyped for the show. I was kind of surprised they waited so long to really start marketing it at all. I guess with how
I thought it would have happened when they were doing that DVD sale or thing where they invited us. I'm like, oh, that was a perfect time to start, getting it out there.
And with like PICARD, they started promoting it so many like months ahead of time. I mean, like we got I know it's kind of special with what they were doing with season 3 and announcing the returning cast, but still we got the first PICARD teaser trailer in April of last year. So like 8 months before it premiered. We got a trailer for Star Trek Discovery season 5 at some point last year. That doesn't even come out till next year. So that's
we did have a teaser trailer already, right, for Strange New Worlds?
Yes, but that was only a few weeks ago. So.
Yeah, it's odd. Like I almost I was like, was something going on behind the scenes where they're like, we got to get these effects done?
I don't know, but Strange
New
Worlds
effects look really good, so maybe
everything in this
everything
in this trailer looks great. And Strange New Worlds is like the show that they seem to be like really happy with. Like, I know that when they did like their big European launch of Paramount Plus and in a bunch of new markets over there, one of the things that they were showing in a lot of the promotional material was Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and like the actors they were bringing around, like show, they have like Sylvester Stallone from that Tulsa show. They have Harrison Ford from one of those Yellowstone spinoffs, and they had like Anson Mount as Pike, like next to like these major A-list Hollywood superstars. So yeah, this is the show that they seem to
feels like he could be one of those people.
Yeah, I mean he's still like a fairly young actor.
Yeah.
He still has like decades of acting in his future, probably, if he chooses to do that. So who knows? But I think Star Trek's been good to his brand. I think he's more of a household name now than ever,
for sure.
Helped him out a lot more than say his
Inhumans?
Marvel show. The Inhumans.
I just saw a clip of that yesterday. That's weird.
I'm glad he got to redeem himself in Doctor Strange. Although that Anson Mount is the reason I got like part of Doctor Strange spoiled for me, because it came out the same weekend Strange New Worlds premiered. So I Googled Anson Mount and then like something popped up about it, and I was like, I had avoided that spoiler.
Yes. I just remember that weekend being so crazy because we had the finale of PICARD, we had the premiere of Strange New Worlds, and then we had both Patrick Stewart and Anson Mount show up in an MCU movie.
Yeah, so. That was
a
crazy weekend.
Good job with Paramount Plus for lining them up with when Disney was releasing Doctor Strange, because that's
I almost wonder if they were like double checking. They're like, you guys are really in it, right? Cool. We're gonna use that. Like,
yeah. Y'all's faces are gonna be all over the place on movie screens everywhere. It's a perfect weekend for us to end your show and start your show. So I don't know how much of that was planned, but it worked out.
Doing this trailer now, just like the day after Resurgence came out, also seems like that's a good. They're not related, but they're both Star Trek, and it's sort of like good buzz.
It would be like across. I could see like obviously I've been excited for Resurgence, even though it turns out I can't play it. That I don't have anything that works.
Not on Mac, not on Switch.
Not on the two things I have. And but I would imagine outside of like big Star Trek circles, it's not like it's not getting the buzz like Zelda is. So like I could see people be like, oh right, Star Trek, Googling, and they're like, wait, a Star Trek video game just came out.
Yeah, it all helps get that like trending spot on Twitter and stuff. I don't know how much marketing people have to factor that in these days, but I know that it's probably a huge part of the job. But yeah, I think this trailer is gonna be fun to break down. A lot of people seem really excited. with it. I think you were so distracted by Picard, and that show is so popular in its 3rd season, and I think people forget, like, oh yeah, I also really loved Strange New Worlds, and so that's right around the corner. So I think that'll help maintain interest in Star Trek coming off the popularity of Picard season 3. Before we get into that, I do want to remind everyone, like, that Resurgence game is out now, and that I've never done this before, really, truly, like, streamed like video game gameplay, but this is the best time, for me to start with, I guess, like a popular Star Trek console game, which is kind of a rare thing these days.
Are you like only streaming here, or are you doing like Twitch too?
I don't have Twitch. I don't know if I should set up Twitch and try to expand over to there. Like, we could stream the podcast on Fridays onto Twitch also. So maybe that's something to look into. But I don't know. Like, are there like, is there Star Trek content on Twitch? I've heard that there is. So I guess maybe
I think there's some.
Yeah, our network, we did that, the Improvised Generation. All of our Trek Geeks podcasts that I was doing were streamed on Twitch. But I know there is something, like, if you get, a bigger package and you're like, oh, you're really popular, you're only allowed to stream on Twitch at the same time. You can have repeats, on YouTube or whatever, but you cannot, because it breaks their terms of, they want to keep everybody in the platform, basically.
I know YouTube doesn't like Twitch either.
That I do. We do Twitch and YouTube at the same time, but we are not that big, so they don't care.
Right. Yeah, they didn't care with us either. Well, at first, then Matt upgraded us, and so then we had to stop.
It's something we might look into, but the thing with that Resurgence game, though, is that I was up not super late last night. I probably will be tonight. I'm trying to beat that before Friday, because I think that's going to be the subject of this week's podcast. It's weird, like, going in week to week. I'm normally try to plan out stuff so far ahead of time. It's kind of weird. It makes me a little nervous. It's like, oh, I have to be like spontaneous and like come up with something on the fly. But I think
I can talk to you about how far I got, and then I just mission failed. Like, okay, I'm gonna be stuck in this part of the game forever. So it's a great story though so far. It's amazing.
My friend and I playing not being great at video games and starting Star Trek Online when my brother's PS4 still like was in the same place as me. At some point we just yelled, we're like, why are these ships so bad at turning, or is it me? Like,
yeah, I was joking that if my commanding officer saw me, they would see if I was drunk, because I couldn't figure out how to walk forward correctly. Like walking sideways. Like, okay, finally figured it out.
Well, I had a little bit better luck than Aaron.
Well, you play.
I play video games somewhat
Aaron
regularly.
had better luck than me. Aaron was able to buy the game.
Yeah, if people want to check that out, that's up on YouTube. I did a 4.5 hours of gameplay last night, and then I'll have, as soon as this is over, I'm gonna hop back on and try to play more, because I really want to beat that before Friday, and hopefully get some sleep between now and then. But yeah, looking forward to more Resurgence. The story is pretty intriguing, so I think it's a good game to watch if you don't play games but you want to see what's happening. Then
it's 100%. I would rather just have it be answering questions and watching it as if it's a story, as opposed to like, oh crap, now I have to do something. I'm turning a wheel. Great. What is the point of this?
Yeah,
I know how to do that.
Yeah, that's to make sure the player is still awake and engaged and stuff, I guess. But as far as this trailer goes, though, let's start with hiding that thing. Sorry, we're still adjusting to the new setup with the refit to the Starship Texas, so still working out some of the kinks. Yeah, but hopefully things look a little bit better. Hopefully you're seeing these screenshots in higher resolution than previously. We like doing these trailer breakdowns, though, so be sure that you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss anything. Whenever there's big breaking news or new trailers, stuff like that, we try to jump on that pretty quickly, in addition to doing the weekly podcast every Friday. But yeah, we open with kind of a what looks like a rough shuttle landing. Right, we got to have some dialogue from Pike and Ortega with Pike saying, "You gonna start the engine sometime soon, Erica?" And then Ortega
Okay.
responding,
I will say, I now, after like a second, I realized these were like flight vests or something. But for a second, I was like, are these Mirror Universe like uniforms?
Oh,
"Oh,
no.
like
Yeah.
their away team when they go
Yeah,
to
I
like
think
a tactical
there's
situation." They
yeah,
like
there's some kind of
yeah.
tactical vest. It took me like
Yeah.
a second, but I just the color of like and shininess of them.
Well, they weren't as colorful on Discovery.
Yeah.
'Cause they had these on there too, but
Mhm.
a lot of the Strange New Worlds props are just like Discovery props with more color. But I mean, that makes sense, to be
Yeah,
in
that
between
totally makes
Discovery
sense.
and the original series. So
I
We're
and I
edging towards
have
TOS, so yeah.
the uniform that I have that was made like not like out of use so fast is the Enterprise Discovery one, which but I love that it was like the one where like Pike showed up in, but it's like the
right,
Enterprise, the Discovery Cup, but it's like Enterprise colors.
yeah, I like that asymmetrical uniform, and I was sad when they changed it. But now, like, I finally got used to the ones in Strange New Worlds, and so now I switched. I like it more than the
I will say
Discovery
I
season
want
2
to
one.
buy one of these, especially because I don't actually like wearing turtlenecks very much, which is most Starfleet
Mm.
uniforms. For sensory reasons, I don't really love stuff like right on my neck.
It's like somebody slowly choking you.
Exactly. I don't own any chokers. Wonder why. Is that George? I don't know who it was.
Sam
Sam.
Kirk.
Sam.
I don't know
Sam
why.
Kirk.
I don't know why it's not George.
Well, that's their dad.
Okay, there
George.
is a George Kirk. Good, cool.
In the Kelvin universe,
But-
he's Thor.
It's only Kirk who calls him Sam, but apparently not. It's also people on the Enterprise and Strange New Worlds also call him that. But yeah, he's George Samuel Kirk Jr. Right?
Oh, so I'm right. His name is George. He just doesn't use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Starfleet Sohel is here. Hi, Sohel. He says Sam Kirk is his dumb husband. Oh, also, like, if everyone can let Joel know happy birthday. He's out celebrating his
happy
birthday right
Joel.
now. One cool thing that we learn here in this opening, though, is that Erica served in the Klingon War, because she says, "Don't worry, I did this 100 times during the war." We know that we're seeing some Klingons later in the season, so and we get a glimpse of that here too. So I don't know if that'll tie together or not, but yeah, it's I guess a little bit of her backstory. She was the character that got the least amount of spotlight in season 1.
Yeah.
They've promised that we'll get hashtag Mortega in season 2. We know that she's at least going to get to do a log entry. She's the only one of like the main cast who never got to do like a log entry in season 1. You know how every episode opened with someone doing a log entry?
I'm wondering if this is going to be a scene from like her episode, like her bigger episode, just because it seems to like highlighting like her skills here.
Yeah,
and letting her off
clip
the ship.
they showed us.
I say we learned that the war that she was in was the Romulan War. She's just really good looking for her age.
Yeah, she's actually over 100 years old.
Yeah.
I'm not human. Why did you assume that?
Yeah, exactly.
In A Quality of Mercy, she took Styles' role as like the anti-Romulan bigot. That was her. So
Yep.
Who knows? Yeah, she did seem to have like some negative opinions about Romulans. But they do the trick where like, oh, did they crash? Did the shuttle go down? And then like, no, they survived. It's almost like I've seen that so many times. When I saw it, I was just like, okay, now any minute that shuttle's gonna come right over those trees. And
same. I was like, sure, they
What?
crashed.
Show me that type of stuff in the trailer, though. Don't show me the big surprises in the trailer. So
yeah,
I'm okay with that. But yeah, it kind of sets the tone.
You totally would guess that. It's not like it's spoiling anything. It's like, oh, they didn't die. Well, yeah, they're the main characters.
They didn't kill off the entire cast of this series, of this relatively lighthearted series.
Yeah, they kind of start off the trailer, setting the tone like, oh, this is the fun Star Trek show that can get kind of dark and serious at times, but a bit more fun than.
This is the fun adventure one.
What's going on with the Enterprise with these like strange environments? It really does feel like the Strange New Worlds.
That is really cool.
I love that shot.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that they're doing that. They're actually exploring and showing us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
And
Look,
they talk
they've-
about exploration in
They've
this
got
trailer.
the budget to like actually show
Yeah.
strange stuff now.
it's like the posters that I made for Discovery, but actually they're doing it.
But Aaron, you and I have talked about this before, but you know, a lot of the things that we as fans of that original series era and that setting in that show, you know, when Brian Fuller first started talking about doing Discovery, you know, early on he talked about like he wanted to tap into that color and that energy of the original
Right.
series is what he talked
Mhm.
about. And you know, Discovery went into its own direction. It finally did find its own
Yeah.
territory, and
But it
its
was not
home.
that.
But it was yeah,
Mhm.
it was never that. But Strange New Worlds is so like all that excitement I had for that, like it's finally being fulfilled now. With
Yeah,
Strange New
100%.
Worlds.
Yeah.
Uh,
And like
Pike
Jill
ha-
said, it's very, very TOS in its sky color. It does have that sort
Mhm.
of
yeah, and that
tone.
is something that the showrunners, Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Meyer, have said multiple times, is that their approach to Strange New Worlds is, what if Gene Roddenberry made the original series today with this budget on a streaming platform?
Mhm.
And yeah, like I totally get what they're going for. There's a line of dialogue from Pike here where he says, I sense a tension, a feeling that something's in the air. And then we have a shot of Uhura, and what looks like, is this like a 20th century like Earth town? There's kind of like some futuristic
They're all
looking
dressed
stuff.
not like
Yeah.
Earth people, though. They have like
Yeah.
slightly. It's just I was joking.
I-
It looks like Westview, New Jersey from
Okay,
the
it may be just because
WandaVision.
I saw a gazebo, and I don't think it is because they film in Canada. This looks like the Warner Brothers lot.
Yeah, well, they do sometimes though.
Yeah,
Shot there was I don't know, so maybe it is.
I don't like.
I'll have to do like an aerial view and see if you
Yeah.
can figure it out.
There's English lettering,
Yeah.
you know, like
Mhm.
what do you call it? Roman letters, whatever you call like
Yeah.
the normal alphabet letters. Like, so Earth colony probably.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they're on Earth. There's not like, you know, futuristic skyscrapers or anything. So I think we're on a colony world.
Or it
Maybe
could be
they have,
time.
like,
I mean,
a-
it could be time travel.
That'd be kind of weird for everybody.
Yeah,
to be there,
but
though.
like some of like the cars and like the clothing and stuff, it does kind of have like that
Yeah.
futuristic look to it.
Like, and I only got to watch it once because the people actually in the podcast know this. I went to the office today, so I secretly watched it when a meeting ended early. Like, but when I saw the gazebo, my first thought was, "Is this a Warner Brothers lot?"
I don't know what this ship is, so it's something strange and new. Also, I do like this like futuristic vehicle, like some type of
That does look cool.
Jeep or something. It kind of makes me think of like I guess it's like a Gator or something. It's almost like an ATV, but it makes me
Mhm.
think of the Warthog from Halo. Anyone who's ever played the Halo games, but yeah, it looks like Captain Patel is back. This is Pike's girlfriend, right? Captain Patel of the USS Cayuga.
Yeah, I couldn't
She
remember
says,
her name when I was
Did-
transcribing it.
Do they use those labels? I feel like friends with benefits is more what they should
Yeah,
be.
yeah, we'll say his I don't know, is sweetheart too specific? Let's one of Pike's sweethearts.
Mm.
That's you know what? It's sweet. I'll go with it. Like, although I was surprised because she like arrested Una at the last season, right? I was
Well, they
like,
must make up at some point.
yeah, I
then.
was like,
Yeah.
do we like her? That was actually my thought. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Una in action in here. And now
Mhm.
Dom Paris, hi Dom, glad you could make it. I know it's late over there across the pond where you are, but Dom is pointing out that this looks similar to like the Gorn ship. And yeah, okay, I do see.
Yeah, I think it is the Gorn
Yeah.
ship.
I bet
Or
you're
Ava.
right.
Yeah, that
That's-
looks familiar now.
Mhm.
So okay, that is pretty Terry. What we know, like Strange New World Gorn, if they're like arriving on top of a colony like this,
Mhm.
like I'd be pretty freaked out too. It's just
Yeah,
unfortunately the two things that I dislike. I love season 1 of Strange New Worlds. Just two things I didn't love. They were their handling of the Gorn and also their depiction of Captain Kirk. I know both those things are coming back in season 2. I really want to
Yeah.
like them because I love the
Yeah.
Gorn and I love Kirk. So I'm rooting for. I'm going into season 2 rooting for them, wanting to like them. We'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see if I do or not.
when I transcribed the trailer. Every time Kirk spoke, I put bland Kirk.
Yeah,
Bland Kirk.
that cracked me up. Thank you for doing that. That helped out a lot, Aaron.
Oh, you're welcome.
So do you call him Blandikirk? I was not like I did
No,
not.
just as a joke, like in the
Okay.
text. Because
That
he's
is
just so kind of like wallpapery.
Yeah, he doesn't, which is funny because I watched
He's
like
actually a
interviews
fine
with that
actor and character.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
not for Kirk.
They say that he plays Kirk differently. He was just doing something weird for that episode, for that alternate timeline. We'll see. We'll see.
No. Okay.
that is. I mean, I could definitely see
That's
that,
possible.
especially because I have seen stuff with Paul Wesley, and he's definitely more stoic in there than I've seen him in interviews, and he like him on like the Vampire Diaries, where he's a vampire that occasionally has to like he's usually good and occasionally has to go evil. And when he's evil, he's very sarcastic.
And we get a line of dialogue from, as Aaron put it, bland Kirk here, where he says, our job puts us up against death. We may not like it, but we do have to face it. And we see some random shots of random stuff. But one thing they do include, we saw it from the last trailer, it is Spock taking the captain's chair for what I assume will be the first time. Kind of thought his first actual like time in command of a mission was the Galileo 7. I have to go back and check that episode.
Oh,
and see
yeah.
what they say exactly. But this could be like this. Maybe this doesn't count. It's like an emergency situation. He's just temporarily taking command.
I would took that. I mean, I recently rewatched that episode. I kind of just took that as like maybe the first time on a like he's in charge of an away mission.
Yeah, we can squeeze it in there and make it fit. That's what we do. So
I mean, that kind of continuity error. I grew up watching Boy Meets World. Nothing makes sense on that show. So,
well, just
sure.
Just from Star Trek, I think I say this a lot, but if mental gymnastics were an Olympic event, I would get a gold medal every 4 years because I'll come up with some crazy headcanon to make the Star Trek universe coherent when I need to.
That's funny.
There's a line from Pike right after that where he says, "Hold on to your saddles." But in all this action that we're seeing, one thing that pops is,
isn't that modern day Toronto?
Yes.
That explosion.
Yeah. So this is Kirk and La'an Noonien Singh. We assume back in time, some of the stuff that they shot in Toronto, which I believe is going to be the first episode of the season. I think this is a season 3 opener. Will feature the two of them. But yeah, there's something blowing up in modern day Toronto, which is a little alarming. Like,
not a good idea.
did they go back in time to World War III? Like, wouldn't that be cool if we actually see World War III?
I would actually love that. That would be cool.
In the show, like not see World War III in life, but
I understood what you meant.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's likely that we might see it in both. So.
Knock on wood, no thanks.
Yeah.
So this is what they were filming when the people saw Paul Wesley and figured out who he was playing immediately, right?
Yeah, because apparently, like, he was a very popular character on a very popular show. Yeah. So if I saw an actor from the Vampire Diaries, I wouldn't know him from Adam, but a lot of people spotted him. It was all over TikTok the next day.
Have a theory that was on purpose to like get the news out there because. He is famous enough that paparazzi would have been following him anyways. Especially if someone's like, "Oh, he's filming something. What's he filming?"
Yeah.
These actors have hinted. Both Christina Chong and Paul Wesley have hinted about there being like some romance between the characters. I think that's 100% confirmed in here. We see them kiss in a moment, I believe. That clip that they showed us, when was that? Star Trek Day? When it would had to have been when they showed us that clip of Strange New World season 3. It was an away mission to Rigel 7.
Season 3? This is season 2.
I'm sorry, season 2. So
yeah.
I get my seasons all. Okay,
no, just make sure you were
the one they're about to produce.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thanks,
I thought maybe you were talking about a different show.
No, they showed a clip of Strange New World season 2 where Pike and crew are going on a shuttle down to Rigel 7, and Ortega's can't come because they need her to pilot the Enterprise in the dangerous orbit around Rigel 7. But Rigel 7, the planet that made Pike so depressed he wanted to leave Starfleet and was considering the option to, I guess, become like trade sex workers or whatever for the Orions or whatever he was fantasizing about on Talos 4 in the cage. But yeah, where he fought the the Kalar. So I guess these are the same whatever the Kalar was. I'm not
that's Worf's wife who died.
Yeah, well, the original Kalar. Kalar without the apostrophe, Kalar. But yeah, the Attila the Hun looking guy or Genghis Khan or whatever. Yeah, it looks like we see his people. They're armed with phasers or disruptors or something. So
yeah, they look
dangerous.
like a Starfleet issue though, don't they?
Yeah,
Kinda
maybe
like the big guns in the first episode of Discovery had them.
Yeah, so I don't. Maybe they raided a Starfleet ship or something. But yeah, I like seeing M'Benga in action, and of course Pike too. But yeah, we have to. It'd be cool if we had like a real scrappy doctor, right? Like there's never been like a Starfleet doctor that I would describe as like a big badass. That's why I wanted like Jack Crusher and Picard. I wanted him to become like a chief medical officer or something because
it makes no sense that he did not.
One. Yeah,
like. Why don't we use anything but my talents in this one field that I've been doing for apparently like a decade at least?
Yeah, because Naomi Wildman grew up and Seven needed a new captain's assistant. So
there you go.
God, I just looked at my Pike's like face there. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Anson Mount, the expressive face. Dom Paris is pointing out that in the teaser trailer you see the Starfleet Delta over their building. So yeah, definitely some contamination. Maybe Pike's original mission, maybe that's why they're coming back to Rigel 7, because something he left behind when would have been what? This is probably in 2250 or probably 2260.
You think we're gonna see like flashbacks and actually like for the first time see what happened there?
Yeah, could be. I mean, that would have been 8 years earlier, probably, by my calculations. That may or may not be correct.
The perfect like for a flashback where long enough where it's like, oh, like it was so long ago, but close enough that you could still use Anson Mount and like not really have to do much to him physically.
They shot a flashback in season 1 that was cut out, but there was a flashback to Anson Mount where he's in a red uniform and he has dark hair. Like they colored his hair and changed his shirt. It's something you can see on the Blu-ray.
Favorite thing about Discovery is them like for some reason only dyeing Anson Mount's hair for like 2 episodes and then deciding to not, so it just seems like he goes gray.
That spore drive stressed him out. Yeah. Just
you know what? That's fair.
Well, his knowledge of the future. That's probably
yeah.
Yeah. Although I think
stress does cause you to go gray. I will tell you that.
He started going gray before he saw his future, but it was from a time crystal, so it must have sent the stress like back in time.
There you go.
He's like, why am I like losing sleep and my hair's going gray? Like I feel like I'm all like stress. Like he was feeling the stress ahead of time because it's timey-wimey time crystal stuff. The more I say that, I mean, I started that off as a joke, but like now I'm like, that kind of does make sense. Like,
it would be interesting.
Yeah,
we'd have to have him try to figure out why he went gray all of a sudden. Like,
you have to have like what is it? The Temporal Integrity Commission do they have like counselors? Like
I also love that we're debating like his hair going gray, and a character later in this trailer has purple hair. So
true. No, I like.
He looked like a.
Honestly, it looks great.
Yeah, no, he's earned his title as like the silver fox.
Yeah,
of the Starfleet captains.
There's a reason. There's a picture of Anson Mount with like the salt and pepper thing going on my shirt that I'm wearing currently. I like the look, but
yeah, it's weird. Like I was watching a clip of The Cage earlier, and like looking at like Jeffrey Hunter, and I was just like man, like just like Anson Mount is like Pike to me now. It's just like that's when I hear like Captain Pike. I used to picture Jeffrey Hunter. Now I just picture Anson Mount.
Well, we only had him before, and now we've had a whole season of this guy. and plus
Yeah.
on Discovery.
Yeah, so
Poor-
we've already had
Poor
2
Bruce,
seasons.
Poor Bruce Greenwood. Not even that.
He had a good role in those 2 movies he was in. Pike looked like a badass in the shot though, where he like deflected a disruptor beam or something with this plate or whatever. I don't know. He looked like he was pissed and like ready to beat someone up for something. And I think this is when he says, what does he say about the saddles?
Oh.
Hold on to your saddles. The cowboy
Oh, yeah.
references. So I don't know what this device is. The way that they edited it, it looks like this is like the device to
That's what
open
you have
the
to
airlock.
do in the game in Resurgence.
You gotta like mess with like equipment like this in the game in Resurgence. It's
because of the coloring, it looks like a giant Iron Man suit.
Yeah, it does have those Tony Stark.
It's got all these little MCU things that are in Westview, New
Gold
Jersey
and-
from WandaVision. We've got giant, maybe they got shrunk down by Scott. This is very little.
Yeah.
Okay, we're being silly. Sorry.
Well, I think we have Spock and Chapel like going into space here with no environmental suits. We see like another shot
that's gonna
later.
be one of those things where they eject, and by the time they hit the other side, they'll have gone into like a bay or something. They just have to get out between those two without a suit. Hopefully,
I haven't compared it to the other shot later, but I think we might see them floating around in a moment. I'm looking at a lot of this stuff for the kind of the first time. I just watched the trailer 2 or 3 times, took the screenshots, and here we go because we wanted to get on this fast. La'an says something about exploring here. What does she say exactly?
we are explorers.
It's
easy to forget how.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's easy to forget how awesome that is.
Yeah. I can't tell. I thought that was Erica saying that second part.
Yeah, no, you're
maybe
right.
just-
You're right. Yeah, because it didn't have like the Britishness on it that Christina Chong has.
They're trying to make a sentence that isn't in the show.
Yeah.
Basically.
But they're basically telling us like it's awesome that they explore, and yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's the of all the Star Trek shows, this is probably the one that shows that the most. And I think this is kind of all the. I was gonna say of all the modern shows, but perhaps of all the shows ever. Like I think this is just a really great example to show someone like what Star Trek is. If someone who's like, I've never watched it, like this is the one I would give them.
Because there's a TikToker I know who said he's gonna watch all of Star Trek. It started with the original series, and he's having a rough time. And we're like, please just hold on, like
Yeah.
And he's like, this is good, and like he's like, but this is also weird.
Is he just not used to watching stuff from the 60s?
Yeah, because he recently had done Doctor Who, but he started at the reboot because the older Doctor Who stuff is much harder to find.
Yes,
it's also
some of it
harder
you
to
can't
watch.
find.
Yeah, some
More
of it
than
you
Star
straight
Trek,
up can't find,
No.
and also
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
so much old Doctor Who, like
Yeah. A ton.
And it is less consistent than Star. I think even with like modern Doctor Who, there's been some great Doctor Who episodes, but just even with some of the
straight
seasons.
Up, my brother, every time he has to try to sit down and watch like Doctor Who, has like got up and left because he was like, he's like, there's killer Christmas trees. I was like, I know, it's just like.
Well, but that's kind of the charm of that. I mean,
It
there's a lot of dumb shit in Doctor Who, but it doesn't apologize. Like it does that on purpose, you know?
That's what
Like-
I think. I showed my brother Blink, and I was like, it could also be this.
Yes. I think a lot of the things that are like too weird or too dumb to work in Star Trek, it's like, no, that's Doctor Who's territory. Save that for Who. That's a good home for some of these wackier ideas.
I can't imagine what it's like to watch TOS for the first time because I basically just grew up with it. So it was that's what Star Trek was.
Although one of my favorite things is him. He's watching Paramount Plus. He's like, this does look really good for the 60s. And we had to like, buddy, you're watching a remastered version.
Yeah.
Although the original did look really good for the 60s.
It did look, but we were just he's like, I don't understand how they did this in the 60s. And the answer he didn't.
This looks like CGI. How did they animate this back then? It's clearly not.
I really like how it looks, though. It does feel like what they would have done at the time period.
Yes, it does.
They didn't even use like angles and stuff that we would have used. They stuck with how they shot.
Maiku Kuda, I think, deserves all the credit for that. I've heard him talk about how it's very important that when they did that TOS remaster, that they did it in the style
Yeah,
special effects were
they
intended.
just like enhanced what was already there. They didn't like.
I know that some
Go
people
crazy
won't
with
watch that. They want to watch it, the original, but it's like this has kind of become the original for me, just the remastered.
I'm at the point now where I've seen the remaster more than the original. So next time
Yeah.
I rewatch the original series, when it comes up in my rewatch rotation, I'm gonna have to bust out the Blu-ray set because I do kind of miss seeing like the original effects and stuff. I need to
Well, it's
revisit
cool
it.
to see.
Yeah, I want.
But I
need
love
to
there's
get
the option.
Blu-ray, so I need to get the Blu-ray so I can have those. I just wish we had the option on Paramount Plus. Because I think you only get the remaster on Paramount Plus.
I have an
I
extra?
believe so.
I might have an extra set of TOS Blu-rays. If I do, they're yours, Rachel.
I appreciate that. I was not trying to do that.
I'll have to look and see, but yeah, I think I
almost
have
bought
those.
them at a half-price books, and I opened them, and like what part of the case was like damaged, and I was like, I don't really want that.
I've bought that show so many. I've owned all of the original series on VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray twice, I think.
That is amazing.
And if they somehow figure out a way to release it on 4K Blu-ray at some point in the future, I guess I'll buy it a 5th time or something. I don't know. We'll see. This exterior shot of like that's I guess Pike on the outside of a ship. I think they come across like a destroyed ship. We've seen like a lot of footage of like debris, crashing onto a planet, of like this like beat up saucer going into an atmosphere and burning up. And in the opening of the trailer, that shuttle that they're doing that crash landing with, it looked like it had like a lot of junk like attached to the outside of it. So I'm wondering if they're taking scrap from this saucer or something. But there's it looks like a xenomorph, like the alien from Alien.
Oh yeah,
we see it like hanging out in the background with its tail. I don't know, is this like a space Gorn, or they're Gorn in space now? I know like whenever almost makes me wish that they just like created like their own alien to do alien stuff with, instead of like doing alien stuff with Gorn. But I mean, like they're clearly like the show clearly likes the Alien movies more than it likes Arena, because like the Gorn always seem more like a xenomorph than like the Gorn in Arena.
That you're not wrong.
But
yeah, it looks so much like that. Like that shot just looks so much like Alien, because I spent a period of time this year fleshing out my Star Trek versus Aliens comic book covers for the thing that never happened, and it's like, so I looked at the xenomorph a lot, and it's just like, this looks so much like it.
And that like the tail coming off, you see it better when you see it in motion in the trailer, but yeah, it looks so like, that's a very unique look that I've only kind of seen on that xenomorph design. So
yep.
But that's what the show seems to like to do with the Gorn. So it'd be so cool we could just see like an Arena type Gorn like show up and be like, oh yeah, don't worry about like those other assholes, like most of us aren't like that. By the way, y'all aren't supposed to like know us yet, so just act like none of this happened, please.
Oh,
I don't know what this is.
It's like when you meet Klingons, they're like, forget about those TOS ones who seem to care nothing about honor and also look weirdly like you. I don't know.
Oh, we're about to talk about the Klingons. I don't know what this is. It kind of makes me think of like when they were in that comet, Mana-Neet or Maha-Neet or whatever in season 1.
I almost wonder if it is. I mean,
yeah, those shepherds could show up again. They were kind of a neat. I like that design. It was cool how they did like that practical effect on that dude. It wasn't CGI. I think they'd be kind of cool. They'd be kind of cool recurring villains, because they're kind of just like annoying, and I mean, like they can be a threat, but they're not. I
feel like they show up and they're just like, oh, we got to deal with these guys again.
Yeah, like you can just throw them in like different situations and be like, God, this is gonna make it a lot harder without having like a like a diabolical villain.
Yeah,
as your complication, as your antagonist, and like the true sense of the the antagonist is just there to be an obstacle for the the protagonist is trying to accomplish something. The antagonist is there to get in the way. Like the example I like to bring up is like Krug in Star Trek 3. It just happens to be my favorite Star Trek movie. No, that's an unpopular opinion, but it's like Krug is not like important to the story of like we got to go get Spock. We got to get Spock from Genesis, but he sure is an obstacle.
Yeah.
And yeah, so sometimes that's interesting. It's, I think sometimes a lot of stuff these days tries too hard to have like this big, deep personal conflict. You have like the villain, like it was I who murdered your parents, like stuff like that. It's like we don't always like need that.
I think villains are more interesting when like they're not necessarily like evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Star Trek does that pretty well too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And eventually sometimes the bad guys become, part of your crew.
Yeah.
And even like like the big iconically bad guys like Khan is like, I can still kind of empathize with Khan a little bit. Like his like he was just trying to take care of his people. He's sad he lost his wife. I get why he would be mad at Kirk. There's a line from Mbenga. He says, "Life's a mission. It's what we love most." Okay, not sure what to take from that, but we have Spock drinking blood wine. I think it was Jill in our live audience when we talked about this previously. She pointed out that is this like a special like vegetarian blood wine that they're giving Spock? I guess like he's probably got to be like, I guess I'm just gonna have to drink the blood wine. But I never thought about that. Like, oh yeah, like yeah, I guess it's not like vegetarian or vegan to drink blood wine if it has actual blood of something in it. I don't know whose blood is in the blood wine, but
I wonder if look that up. See, like, is blood vegetarian or vegan?
I don't know who this dude is, but he looks like he kind of like showed up to the Klingon party and is just hanging out. Look at these Klingons. These look like Berman era Klingons. Like they're beautiful.
Yeah.
See, like they're we have different forehead ridges, so they're not all the same. They're not all like the same family. There's like different ridge patterns on different Klingons. I like they fixed the Klingons with Worf in Picard season 3, and now every live action Star Trek show can have good looking Klingons again.
I think my hot take is once they added hair to the Discovery ones, I don't think they looked that different from like the Klingons we had seen. Like they look somewhat different.
Yeah, that did help. I was still kind of weirded out by like they have like 4 nostrils and like like the long like claw fingers and these. I really prefer the look of these. I think that we're going to see some smooth-headed Klingons, or there might be like some conversation about that. Even if it's just like a throwaway line about like, yeah, like different Klingons look different. Don't worry about it. Like if Ortega's or someone is just like, different Klingons look different. Don't worry about it too much. Just something like that to like tell the audience to like, yeah, we know, we get it. Just chill. They're all out there. However you want Klingons to look, there's some out there.
And sometimes if they're in the original series and then appear on Deep Space Nine, they look like entirely different species.
Although Enterprise did suggest that cranial ridges. That was one thing Dr. Phlox told those Klingons, like y'all can try like cranial ridges at some point, so like or like cranial ridge implants.
Yeah,
so I assume Kor Kang and Kalis, Kor Kang and what was it, Kor Kang
Koloth?
and Koloth, Trouble with Tribbles. Yeah, they all had some cosmetic surgery between
I can see that
TOS and DS9.
As long as the blood didn't come from a slaughtered animal, can be considered vegan because it has no animal byproducts and no animals were harmed or killed in the production.
If it's something that they just drain the blood but don't kill it.
Yeah. So be a vampire. It's vegan.
Yeah, vampirism is vegan. Didn't know I'd learned that. See, that's why you people need to subscribe to Tex-Trek. You learn all kinds of cool stuff. Who knew they would hear that during a Strange New Worlds trailer breakdown? I don't know this ship. There's some weird ship flying by. But Uhura has a crazy theory, right? We get to see Pelia, our new engineer, Carol Kane.
Yeah.
I guess Uhura bonded with the last engineer. She spent some time with Hemmer. I guess maybe she'll be like, like I was friends with Hemmer. He taught me engineering stuff. And maybe, I don't know, Carol Kane will continue that mentorship. I don't know what's going on with this extra badge on her uniform.
Isn't that the Commodore thing that, like that sunflower-ish sort of badge in the original series?
Oh
yeah.
Maybe.
I kind of see that.
I can honestly say I never thought I would see Carol Kane in a Star Trek show.
That's true. It is.
I was like,
it's odd.
I was like, you know what? It's a weird choice, but I'm here for it because it's like such a choice that I would never even think about.
Yeah, I think that she's going to be a unique Starfleet engineer. You know, the only other time we've had like an engineer who was kind of like this, you know, like woman, like over the age of 50, I'll say. Like the only other time that's been done I can think of with an engineer would be like Jet Reno, and this is such a different character. Like, you know, Carol Kane's definitely, you know, she's like leaning in like the girlier, more feminine side, and is probably gonna just be very different. But I think also, you know, she has a lot of comedic capabilities. She's been funny in a bunch of stuff, so I think you know, another funny engineer perhaps.
Sorry, Jill, whose accent was a huge disappointment for you? Like, because I feel like
I wonder if she's actually making fun of something. Like that wasn't really her accent.
Carol Kane has a very interesting voice. Like,
yeah.
They didn't include her in like that key art poster. I'm assuming she's only going to be a recurring character, which Bruce Horrick was with Hemmer.
Yeah,
you know, Hemmer wasn't. It made me sad actually. I'd be like, why was Hemmer not in this episode? I love him. Then I got really sad about him.
I need to rewatch the trailer. I thought Carol Kane was just using her voice. Like,
okay.
That's what I thought.
Carol Kane has
somebody
a very
said that there was like
voice.
a Russian accent. I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't really hear that, but yeah, she just has a very unique way of speaking.
Yeah, she could have been doing an accent. I don't. Like I said, I would need to rewatch the episode, not the episode, the trailer to like, really determine if I think there's an accent.
Arthur is saying that she's an Princess Bride. I haven't seen that movie in a very long time. If someone could remind me who she plays in it.
She's the guy who brings his like Wes back to life. Why can't I remember?
I have never seen this movie, which is one of those weird things.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to.
I need to rewatch it. Yeah, I need to see it.
You know how many people have said that and then never have watched it with me?
I will watch The Princess Bride with you. I can guarantee.
Okay.
Her oh my god, the person like her has been very famous. That's why like my head is like Billy. Thank you. Her like she's Billy Crystal's character's wife.
Oh, that I knew he was in that movie. Yeah. I could have told you that at least.
So like she's the one where he's like, I can't do it, and she's like, yes, you can, and I cannot think of any lines of hers right now because my brain is broken.
But I think Bill Clinton was still president the last time I watched The Princess Bride, so I need to see it. Yeah, I need to see it as like as an adult.
I was born during Bill Clinton's presidency.
Well, it was the first election I could vote in.
I was very far away from voting in any of the vote.
But yeah, that's like considered like the best. It's like the best date night movie. It's like it's on like a lot of people's like list for like.
It's good. It's funny.
We shouldn't. We're gonna overhype it though, and then Aaron's gonna be like, "Really? This is like y'all thought this is like the best movie ever?" Like,
look, no, it's funny, and also the concept. Yeah. The a lot of people know The Princess Bride is based off a book. That is, and the screenplay for the movie is written by the author of the book. And the concept of the book is that he's telling you like a really like he's relaying to you a really long story that's like overly long and overly pretentious, and he's like, here's like a Spark Notes version of it, except that's the only version of the story that actually exists.
Yeah, Jill is asking, can we guess the character's ethnicity from the name? But Pelia, I don't.
They released a bunch of pictures, it looks like, of her. I'm seeing them on Twitter like 9 hours ago. So there's even a video, like one of those, like in 1 month. Yeah. Trying to see if
I'm trying to Google
Jorg has said something about the pin.
Yeah, he might know. I don't see anything on that last name. It doesn't seem to be like Pelia is not like a very common surname.
Yeah.
For all we know, that could be her first name. I guess that's all they've said. Is Pelia.
I was googling it because I don't know. Carol Kane.
Join us as we
is-
search online for things.
Carol Kane is like I know is like Russian like Jewish descent.
Okay, so she could probably do a good
Yeah.
Russian accent.
Mm-hmm.
She's
And then
Chekhov's mom.
a couple other things, like a couple.
That would
I
be
don't
age
think
appropriate. Like,
I don't think she's entirely just Russian, but she's
according to Wikipedia, Carol Kane is an American actress. Early life, she was born in Cleveland, Ohio, the daughter of Joy, a jazz singer, teacher, dancer, and pianist, and Michael Kane. Her family is Jewish, and her grandparents immigrated from Russia, Austria, and Poland. So she's Jewish from several different countries.
yeah, take the Russian out. You kind of got me.
Yeah, just do a Russian / German / Polish accent. Just mix it all together.
So my grandfather spoke with an Austrian accent. My grandma spoke with a German accent. I once had to do a German accent in a play, and I apparently convinced someone that was my actual accent, and like in the play. And so it was like, how? They're like, it sounds so realistic. And I was like, I just did my grandma's voice. Like,
yeah. Well, Walter Koenig, a lot of people made fun of him. Like, that's not like a real like Russian accent, like saying like nuclear vessels and stuff. He's like, that's how my dad from Russia talked. We'd be sitting at the dinner table. He would say, "Can you please pass the vegetables?" Like, I was just copying dad. So
yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah, his family is also Jewish immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of those for various reasons.
I'm glad y'all made it here.
Yeah.
This is that saucer I was talking about earlier, like burning up in the atmosphere. So I don't know. This might have been a ship that was like attacked by the Gorn. Maybe this was like a trap that they laid for the Enterprise.
They walking on the hull of that earlier,
right? And that's when the creepy creature behind Spock, and then I think it might tie into their crashing the shuttle later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's some sexiness between Chapel and Spock, so this is gonna rustle some feathers, I think. But yeah, Spock and Chapel just full on kissing. Spock saying, "What does this mean?" Chapel says, "I don't know. Shut up." They kiss, and then I don't know what Spock's reaction here is. I don't know if he's like celebrating or freaking out, or
it's kind of like it looks like a blend of the two. It's sort of like it's hard to I'm not gonna do it.
I'm curious.
Yeah, it's got that weird.
My theory is that there's something happening to them where they don't have control.
Yeah.
When do we like? I feel like at some point in the backstory they have to like acknowledge Chapel's like fiance. That she has later.
Yeah,
that's coming. Akiva Goldsman told Trekkie Bill on Twitter. Like Trekkie Bill on Twitter, he was I think he was trying to diss on the naysay. I don't want to put like words in his mouth. But he said something on Twitter. People should go look it up instead of taking my memory for it. But something along the lines of like, I guess people are going to start asking where Dr. Corby is.
Yeah.
And Akiva Goldsman said something like, "Well, you won't have to wait long to find out." So I think maybe like they're kissing and then Roger Corby like walks into the room and is like, "Christine, what the hell is going on here?" Or, I don't know. That would be interesting. I wonder if they're going to try to like get like a younger, sexier Roger Corby to go with their younger, sexier crew that they have here. I don't know. It'll be interesting how they cast that.
Yeah, like I could see us seeing her meet him.
Yeah. Yeah, they should probably meet soon if they're because we know in like 6 years they'll be engaged.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't Ethan Peck.
Although she moves kind of fast, it seems like maybe they could do that really quickly without thinking.
Plus, I mean, this is me partly equating Starfleet to military, but military people get engaged fast.
Yes. And like DS9 kind of did that like during wartime. You had like Worf gets married, Sisko gets married. It's like a big part of that is I guess when you're
serving. From November of 2022, the question has arisen if Roger Corby will make an appearance. The spinoff, okay, and it's just basically he said stand by.
Stand by. Okay.
Okay.
So there we go. Stand by. Well, we're standing by, waiting on Roger Corby. Maybe we'll see him June 15th when season 2 premieres. Then like after it does like the kissy Spock thing, and then starts doing like the trailer does like this thing where it just like shows like a bunch of flashes of stuff real fast. Okay, here's where I saw people floating in space, but they have environmental suits. So this is this is the same as like that crashed saucer. This is not when Spock and I think it's Spock and Chapel, but when they're like launched out of the airlock. I think that is like what Spock is wearing here when he's dancing or freaking out or whatever. And when they're kissing, can't tell if he has his blue uniform on.
Yeah, it does look like he's got the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is different. This is two different things.
Me putting a theory together, there's something that's making them out of control, and they have to, for some reason, put themselves in space to get rid of it.
Yeah, so that's what's going on here when they pull that hatch.
Yeah,
because I think this is the room that he's freaking out in, right? He's in like the airlock.
Oh yeah.
Then we see him when he's going all spat. Or no, this is a different room. This is like wood panels.
Oh, yeah.
So
maybe they were taken over by something. It's not even them in there.
yeah. I just saw someone
like the wood
the
panels.
idea of Nicolas Cage as Cyborg, and I love that. It's never gonna happen. But it's so funny.
oh, he's like one of like the most expensive actors in Hollywood. He'll never be in
unless he
anything
really
Star Trek.
wanted to do it because he likes Star Trek.
He might, because he does that. He does stuff like, I mean, like he played Superman in the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie, which I know that movie did not have like a huge budget, but he probably like did it for scale because like he wanted to be Superman in a cartoon.
Well, because then he also like I think is finally like got out of the debt he was in and doesn't have to do this as much. But he was like that's why he was doing everything is that he lost money in the like the financial collapse of like 2008, and then but like actually paid off all his debts.
Even before 2008, he was like in just like so he's like one of those actors like Bruce Willis or Samuel L. Jackson. I just like go see a movie and they just like randomly pop up like, Jesus, you're in every movie I see. Like, take a break. Like Samuel L. Jackson has like never turned down a job in his life.
Maybe he just does not like being, idle.
Yeah,
maybe he has ADHD. Has to keep moving around.
But after the kissy stuff, when we get like all these like weird flashes, I don't know what's going on here, but I think it's wreckage on a planet with something like glowing in the sky. Looks like a cool environment. Maybe the same place they're at here, like desert dunes in the background. So okay, they do make up. Captain Patel and Captain Pike, they all is forgiven. They're kissing again. So I wanted to see her badge and see if they're giving her a different badge for a different ship, if they're going to start doing that sometimes.
I really hope they don't.
Is confusing. Just let them have the same badge. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, that's what it's supposed to be. And I know that nobody cares about that, but we actually have a whole episode that we want to do on that. Dave's going to join us.
But I think
it's the geekiest thing we could talk about, probably.
I think it'd be cool if like some ships have a different comm badge and some it's still like the Starfleet Delta. Which
if you have a merchant marine or cargo ship, you can have a different symbol. This was in the writing in the beginning. If it's Starfleet, it should have the Starfleet Delta. And the guy who did all the props and stuff like freaked out and got really upset with the guys who did the wrong badge. Like, no, you can't do this. So, basically it was a letter saying, no, moving forward, don't do this. So.
Because then they kind of messed up on that with Enterprise when they showed the Defiant badges on In a Mirror Darkly.
You know why? Because they didn't have a high enough resolution to see it to begin with. But now they are definitely Deltas.
Right.
You can tell that I've studied this a little bit.
But I think they just, to keep up with what has been established on screen and also take into account, what was the original intent. I think that, maybe most of the Constitution classes, you still have like the Delta, but every now and then there's got to be because there is like a precedent for that on screen that they would occasionally be different. So they would just, I don't know if they would ever need to go in like the level of detail, like explain it on screen, but if you're in like this fleet or like if your ship is like on this specific mission.
I think so. My theory to make this make sense in my head is they occasionally did it. And it was kind of annoying when ships were like, we're going to do a different one. And when they started making them all comm badges, they're like, no, we're not deciding different comm badges. You will all have this badge.
Yeah. Well, it's by the motion picture. They all go back to
Yeah.
the same badge. Everyone has like the same badge in that, right? Or at least that we see. I mean, who knows what else is out there somewhere. But you know, like we never knew that, you know, there were California class ships that had like a different uniform. Like why do the California class and the Parliament class, they have like a different uniform than like the Luna class and lower decks?
That appears to be like something recently. Like everyone has to have like different uniforms.
I will say
Kinda look
TNG and
crazy.
TNG and Deep Space Nine were on at the same time with different uniforms. So I
Yeah,
think
that's
they've
because
always...
like one was a station and one was a ship.
And Voyager was different because they were stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
Mhm.
Although it would have been cool when they finally contacted Starfleet that if they like downloaded the specs for the new uniforms and everybody like updated their uniforms.
My theory has always been they're like, do you want to do that? And they're like, we have limited energy anyways. That seems like a waste.
Oh, Jill was worried that my comment, or I left her comment up on the screen that was hiding Rachel. So sorry
Oh.
about that. Apologies.
I think my face was still just Pike. It's probably Pike was more hidden than my face was, but
You could just do like
pop up.
over the
I'll
comments.
be like, the
Oh, speaking
neighbor
of all the
from
badge
Improvement.
talk, we have a
What badge?
This last time we saw one of those was Michael Burnham holding the captain's badge after she was dead.
yeah, that Cole used
Jojo.
to pick his teeth. He was like, I ate your captain, and then I disrespected her badge by using it to pick my teeth after I ate her.
Yeah.
So this is the two of them that we see like floating out later. This that is Spock and Chapel, and that was in the teaser trailer.
So they're just hanging out in space a lot.
They go out in space with and without environmental suits in season 2.
They just wanted to try it once without it. That's all they got.
I like this. I like Pike. I'm not Pike. Kirk and Uhura's. I assume this is their first meeting. I think that'll be a moment.
That'll be really fun.
Yeah. They kind of brush over Kirk and Spock meeting in a Quality of Mercy in season 1, and I appreciate that because I was like, oh yeah, don't do like a big ceremonious thing here because this is an alternate timeline and it's not going to mean anything, and you know we'll see like their actual first meeting probably in season 2. So they haven't shown much of Kirk on the Enterprise. I know this is that new set, the Port Galley. Yeah, this is the first thing we've seen of Kirk on the Enterprise. Normally he's in the transporter room.
Yeah.
Like, so if they're gonna like hold off on having him get on the Enterprise till maybe like last episode of the season.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna actually serve on the ship in season
I don't think
2
so either.
I don't know. And that'll be interesting how they handle like him meeting Pike. Are they gonna acknowledge like the line from The Cage where he says, we met when he was promoted to fleet captain. No one knows what the hell a fleet captain is. Like Pike could become a fleet captain at any moment. Like that's just kind of a weird made up rank. They said one time in one episode.
But they could also have like a meaningful meeting and then have it erased because it does seem they're like Kirk is involved in some sort of time travel thing. So maybe that gets undone.
I mean, that basically happened in A Quality of Mercy. Like, you know, Pike had he sat down, drank whiskey with Kirk, and was like, "Tell me your story, kid." And you know, he's like, "Well, you know, my all started with my father on the Kelvin and all of that stuff." So, and that got erased, but yeah, Pike still remembers it. So,
True.
You know, they could do more. Although that'd be weird if that, like, why do all their encounters keep getting deleted from the timeline? Like, you can't do it too many times, but yeah, I'm curious to see what happens there. Okay, let's get into the real meat and potatoes. What everyone wants to talk about. Live action.
Now an hour in.
They look so good.
Boimler and I can't even think of her name.
Mariner?
Yes, one of my favorite characters.
There's somebody who responded to my tweet on Twitter that says, "That's not Jack Quaid." And people are like, "Yeah, it is." No, it's not.
It is.
That is Jack Quaid. I don't.
Yeah, like what?
That's the dude from the TV show The Boys that I've never watched, but I know he's in it. Like,
I love those
Why
uniforms.
didn't they think it was Jack Quaid?
I don't know.
I saw this dude wearing one of these uniforms in Chicago. Like that's 100% him. He's like, now he actually has like the purple hair. I tried to ask Tawny Newsome on the cruise what her hair was going to look like in live action because I was curious how are they going to do Mariner's hair in live action. And she says, I can't talk. All I can tell you is my sleeves are rolled up. Like
which we would expect.
Yeah. But I love the way that they depicted these two. But I don't know. What did y'all think?
I
yeah,
think they look really good.
their smiles and their facial expressions actually match like how
Yeah.
they
Yes.
animate them in the show, which is just kind of creepy and crazy.
I know. I assume now, especially watching them do this, I assume they made an attempt to let's try to make these people look enough that they could play themselves in live action if we want them to. And also, I saw someone a Jack Quaid, like how he's Dennis Quaid's son. Yeah, you can tell because he has his father's smile. Like
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Mhm.
And Dennis Quaid's from Texas. So none of that is important or anything. I just always point out when someone's from Texas or Ireland.
That they went with having Mariner having like natural hair for the ponytail.
Yeah. No, I love what they did with both their hairs. They made the purple hair look acceptable,
realistic,
in live action. Yeah, it didn't come off as ridiculous. And then her hair looks both good and like her character.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I always thought that like Jack Quaid, he's kind of a big dude. You know, he's tall. I always thought like, you know, Boimler had never been like particularly tall. He's kind of drawn look kind of like a small guy, but no, like his body language, his mannerisms, his facial expressions, like
Jack Quaid,
he's
tall,
so Boimler.
But he's lean at least. So like
yeah.
The only complaint I have is like I want the rest of the characters in live action too.
I mean, who says that we won't get like a quick shot of Tendi and Rutherford?
That would be so fun.
Oh, that's true.
They could just like poke their heads into the 23rd century for like a split second and be like, "What? You really got to meet Pike and Spock and all those people?" And they're just like, "Can I just like have a peek? Can I just?"
So my theory for this, and I don't believe this anymore, was this is going to be like them doing a holodeck thing and then maybe making fun of like the Enterprise finale, but I don't think so anymore.
No, especially with like the last scene that we see in this.
Well, when they were
I don't think they would imitate that.
Yeah,
he was clearly, just
shocked they were there.
Shocked, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be time travel. I think that because they said there's not going to be any, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, like some animation and live action, like on screen at the same time. They're not doing that. I immediately when I first heard this, the most obvious thing to me was that like, oh, it'll be time travel. And whenever they're in the 24th century on the Cerritos, that'll be animated like a cartoon. And whenever they're in the 23rd century on the Enterprise, that'll be live action. I think that's exactly what they're doing.
In my like the same thing. In my head, it was Enchanted, not Roger Rabbit, which is when they're in the fairy tale lane, it's animated, or when they're on the Cerritos, it's animated, and then they go to the real world.
Perfect. Yeah. That's
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, if that was obvious to me and I'm a moron, it was obvious to, Mike McMahon and the writers, involved in the story. So,
I'm trying to read the screen behind them, but I can't. It's like out of focus just enough.
Jill's, I feel like Eugene Cordero looks enough like Rutherford.
Yeah.
Could. Yeah.
I think they all look close enough.
The hard part is having to paint someone green is probably the most annoying part.
Right. That was the thing with Noelle Wells, also from Texas. But when she was in Chicago, she had I think she had her fingernails might have been pointed green, or she had some green mascara on. She's like, yeah, I wasn't doing the full Orion green girl body paint. Sorry.
That would be. I think she probably had to do press and stuff while she was there too.
She was in uniform.
Yeah.
She didn't do that. I mean, the green's a big commitment.
So. I will say also, as someone who's done stuff where you get painted and you also have to be really careful, especially if in a convention or a hotel, you don't actually dye everything around you green.
Yeah, or stain the bathtub green or something.
Your pillows become green, everything.
When the webcomic Homestuck was very popular, they had to a convention in Texas banned body paint because they were just no regard for staying hotels. They would just sit down in lobbies and just green would be, or blue or whatever would be left behind.
So we get
these uniforms. They're so good. I wish
I really like.
I want to buy them from wherever this is made, but that never happens. We don't ever seem to get official uniforms ever again.
Why? I don't understand. And the ones
and then
it's
oh, where did you get that? Is that a Chinese knockoff? I'm like, it's the only thing you can buy. There is no other uniform.
Yes, they look better than the ones for instance, I have a Discovery uniform that I think was probably the last it was the Halloween one, and it's bad.
Yeah, no one bought that. They stopped doing official uniforms because no one bought the shitty Halloween costumes they were pumping out.
Yeah.
It's like if you just made something like it was higher quality, you could even charge more money
like
for it.
so the one, it wasn't even like, so I have like a TNG Halloween costume one, which I do want to upgrade one day because it doesn't breathe very well. But like, it's not bad in the same way. The Discovery one, the zipper, like when you zipped it up, it like gapped. Like the zipper just like wouldn't happen. The like thing here on the like Chinese knockoff of a similar cut uniform is snaps. It was Velcro.
Mm.
And like didn't stay together.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry that like the Chinese knockoff I could get on eBay makes a higher quality uniform than you are.
And then when Paramount sent out those gift bags for the Star Trek Strange New World season 1 Blu-ray thing, the people that they sent like that gift to, they included the Chinese knockoff uniforms. So it's like y'all were ordering this from these people, so like they're clearly aware. But
they're aware, and like maybe it's like someone's there like, we're not mad because we're not making it, like we're not making this.
Well, when I wore my uniform to the PICARD premiere, I had somebody from CBS ask me where it was from. So, and they're a person who is like kind of in charge of part of that. So, and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna pretend I didn't see it. I'm like, okay, were you gonna rip it off of me? Like, what's going on?
I like the fact that they don't have like a cheaper like the away team jacket. It's only like the insanely expensive, that they don't have like somewhere in between. Like I don't know, it's weird. There's like a weird I don't understand how Star Trek merchandising works right now. It's like there's nothing for in between.
It feels like it's stuck in between like CBS and Paramount and Viacom and Nickelodeon, and it's like nobody knows at all what everyone's doing, or they all do, and then there's gridlock because there's too many people involved.
They can't rely on the old days. It was always like, let's just pump out a bunch of the original series stuff, and a bunch of baby boomers will buy it. And it's like, well, like there's less like baby boomers buying TOS stuff these days, and
hey, just buy it. TNG stuff. They've become the old TOS, or could become the new TOS.
TNG is now like the more popular show. I guess it's more of like like your younger Gen Xers and your millennials are kind of like they've become like a larger demographic in the fandom. But it's like, those are also people who typically like don't buy as much merchandise and useless stuff as some of the baby boomers collectors were able to do.
So gonna say, as a millennial, if you made useless Deep Space Nine stuff, I would buy it.
Yeah, I would too.
Like,
but yeah, it's interesting. I remember just in the 90s, it was like they would slap Star Trek on anything. It's just like you would just walk into like, you go in like those weird stores at the mall, like Spencer's, and it would just be like, there's just be like tons like just weird thing, like a Star Trek poster, Star Trek coffee mugs, Star Trek keychains, just everywhere.
Star Trek lava lamp.
Yeah.
I'll take a Star Trek lava lamp.
That actually would work.
So at the end of this trailer, after Mariner Boimler shows up, Mariner says surprise, and then it does like a really quick flashes of just like a bunch of random stuff. I don't know, like Pike with an oxygen mask, Enterprise flying around some asteroids, Chapel and Uhura working out with a boxing punching bag.
Not Bev and Troy.
Yeah, they're not doing yoga in those stretchy clothes. That it was funny. One time it was also on the Star Trek cruise. I saw a Crusher and Troy. They were cosplaying in those. Not only were they cosplaying in those costumes, but it was at like one of the parties that night. They were like on the dance floor and they were doing like the actual like exercising from the episode. Very funny. I have pictures of that.
That's hilarious.
I guess this is okay. So yeah, that's that saucer going down on the planet. Here we go. Kissy time with Kirk and La'an.
You have to meet my great grandfather someday.
What's Carol Marcus? What's Carol Marcus up to around this time? Like,
yeah,
this is around the time he's getting close to like when he's gonna have to make a baby with Carol Marcus for David to be as old as he was in the Wrath of Khan. So
find out that
that's gotta be
La'an
coming
changes her name to Carol Marcus.
and then like dyes her hair blonde and becomes a scientist.
She's hiding out. It's a really long undercover mission.
A lot of red shirts on the ship. It does like a lot of there's like some spinny things, like the camera starts spinning around it. Here, those are Klingon ships. There's Klingon D7s in the background, like
surrounding them.
Yeah, like you can kind of see this one here sideways. This one here is upside down. So maybe some action with the Klingons. I'd love to see like the D7 in action. So I guess we're gonna get that. I wonder, is it just one Klingon episode, or will there be multiple Klingon episodes? Like, there's no reason for it would honestly make more sense for the Klingons to be kind of like the recurring bad guy than the Gorn.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd love Tholians. I'd love to get some Tholians up in here, but there's more shots of the Klingon ships, and then we end with the joke from. The coolest thing ever is like, wow, you go back in time, you meet Spock, he tells you live long and prosper. Like, how do you respond to that?
Would also be Boimler. I'd be like, I don't know. Like,
I laughed at this when I watched it, and then
you also go and it's just beams
away. I laughed at it again when I read Aaron's transcription of this. Yeah, ow, you go also live and.
It kind of reminded me of a John Mulaney joke, but his joke is that and also with you, like the Catholic and also with you, they don't even do anymore. It sounds really awkward. I was like, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah. But okay, that is straight up live action Boimler.
Yeah.
These characters are
it's
these
not Jack
characters.
Quaid, but it's cool. No.
It's fun. It's Mike McMahon said he was involved with from what I can tell,
Jonathan Frakes directed it, right?
Yeah, Jonathan Frakes directed this, and from what I can tell about Mike McMahon, just I talked to the artist who drew the Lower Decks comic from IDW, and one of the things that he said was that like Mike McMahon approved every single page. We didn't do anything on this comic that Mike McMahon didn't like. So he's very hands-on, I think protective of Lower Decks, and make sure that everything is like on brand, on point. All the characters look right, they're on model. So yeah, I was always
he likes doing that too.
Yes,
and that's
No, I'm glad that he does that.
Yeah.
It's
he can very
really
easily
cool.
hand that off to Brad or somebody else, and
But yeah, I think that this will be a lot of fun. I'm sure like every line of dialogue that these characters say, I'm sure like it all went past Mike McMahon, and he probably punched it up a little bit. So I think this is going to be tons of fun. I don't know. I'm curious where it will occur in the season. Will it be early on, or will they save it towards the end? I think it's probably going to be in the latter half of the season. But what do I know? I'm just guessing. I have nothing to base that on. But that would be kind of cool because when we get to the end of Strange New Worlds, it's going to be August. It's going to be time for Lower Decks. So, what's a better way to hype you up for Lower Decks?
Oh, maybe they connect.
Yeah, I don't think they'll connect because
that could be cool though.
It would be cool. I would love if they did, but I think when these shows are like being written, they're not really sure when Paramount Plus is going to decide to release what.
They do all talk and coordinate that though. I know that everybody knows what apparently. The AI is bad wasn't necessarily just an accident that all three series had that.
Oh yeah,
and then we have a writer's strike, so it's like
yeah, maybe all writers were dissing on AI for a reason, but they were trying to warn us.
You know what? Good for them.
Yeah. No, I'm on their side with all that. Yeah, really cool.
There was a reason when the article being like Strange New Worlds production shut down. I replied with the gif of O'Brien. He was like, he was a union man.
Yeah, and there were people. Who people should follow right now is Larry Nemechek is covering the writer's perspective from the Star Trek perspective extremely well. He does live stuff on YouTube all the time. People should subscribe to his channel because he has so much insight.
And Portal 47, if you can afford it, it's not that expensive. But he has lots of really good guests and stuff, and it's pretty cool. I actually was with the first Portal 47 person. He calls them like, I can't remember what he called them, but it was just like, no, I'm not gonna call myself that. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's not working. But we couldn't come up with anything else either. So
yeah, I've heard him say it enough that it doesn't stand out. It just sounds normal. But yeah, he had a Bill Wyckoff, I think is his name, but he's one of the writers in Strange New Worlds. He also worked on a Star Wars Rebels, if people care about the other Star franchise. But he was a big leader in the WGA union, and Larry had him like as a guest on a live stream, I think last week or the week before. So glad I was happy to see that. But speaking of guests, we're gonna try to have a guest on the show next week. So I'm always scared to like confirm these things or like officially announce them, because like I'm always worried, what if something like there's like a scheduling conflict or something. So I don't want to make any promises, but next week we're going to be, with the gap in the shows right now, we're going to be taking a look at like some of the Star Trek comics, because there's been like some really great stuff with the IDW comics lately. And I know a lot of the people out there in our audience aren't comic book readers, so it might be stuff like you're not aware of, but I think if I tell you about it, you'll be like, oh wow, that is pretty cool. I'm glad that I at least know about it now. So
but if you're playing Resurgence, get the Resurgence comic. There's a lot of good background information. You don't need it, but it really gives it the universe even more oomph.
Yeah, not essential reading, but it was a good story. A couple things in there I thought were like, yeah, that's kind of a weird choice, but overall I had a good time with it. It was a quick read in like a good way. Like it flowed with 5 issues, flowed really well. It's it's like you can read it in an hour or two, and yeah, it feels like an episode of Star Trek, and it had a very satisfying ending that ties directly into like the beginning of the game. There's like a 6-month gap between them, so it lines up. And speaking of that game, we'll be talking about it on the show this week, Friday night at 7 p.m. Central, or you can listen to that later wherever you get your podcast. But yeah, I'm going to be streaming that game in just in a few minutes. So we'll say like at the top of the hour, 9 p.m. Central. I'll have Resurgence up and going, and I'll try to play enough tonight that I think I'll be able to beat it tomorrow is the goal. So
at this point, I might just watch. I don't know if I'll ever get to that point.
I mean, Aaron, if someone's not like a gamer, if it's not like something that you're ever gonna play yourself, I think it's a fun one to watch, because so much of this game,
it is.
It's not like you're like running around, shooting enemies and stuff, or like blasting other ships. It's so much of it is it's all narrative driven. So much like the characters are making choices, and as the player, you're constantly having to select options and.
Like
I think there might be a goof in the program, because like it said choose story option as opposed to like trying to shoot things, and no matter what time you did that, it put you back into the firing range thing.
It could be, most games are pretty glitchy when they first come out.
But I beat it finally, that part.
Yay!
Yes, Starfleet Sohel is asking how far did I get yesterday, and I played for 4.5 hours. I'd say like I only played only 4 hours of gameplay, because I was kind of like messing around at the beginning, and at the end I was kind of like not sure where to go, so I was just kind of like walking in circles for a little bit, and I was like, okay, it's time to call it a night. But yeah, I think a lot of people are saying like they beat the game somewhere between like 9 and 14 hours. So I'm thinking like 12 hours ish. So I'm a third of the way. I think it's safe to say I'm a third of the way through. So if I can play another 4 hours tonight, I think that'll set me up in a good spot to beat it tomorrow. But yeah, and people can always watch. It'll be like, oh yeah, your little Star Trek movie with fathery commentary. But yeah, I have a lot of fun doing that, and so I'm looking forward to hopping back on. But Rachel and Aaron, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on the Strange New World season 2 trailer?
I just want it to come.
I know. I'm really excited. I was already excited, like, for everything, especially Lower Decks, and like seeing them, I was like, oh, I'm so excited now.
Yeah.
And also, I might have to buy a Lower Decks uniform.
They do a good job, like, editing it, like, saving the Lower Deck stuff for the end, because, like, let's get you all excited about Strange New Worlds, and then be like, oh, yeah, and this other cool thing is in here.
And it feels like they did a good job of not revealing anything. I didn't watch that and feel like, oh, well, that's
They did a good thing of, like, setting up tone to get you excited, but not actually, like, giving away everything.
Yes, yeah, correct. But, I mean, like, what do we know? They go back to Rigel 7, already knew that. saucer
Yeah.
is gonna crash, I guess.
Mhm.
So okay,
That's
and
Star
We
Trek.
don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
And then there's time travel, which is also Star Trek, and
Yeah.
also we
Yeah.
kind of knew because of seeing Paul Wesley walk around downtown.
yeah. So yeah, really,
Sure.
really like it didn't
Toronto,
didn't
yeah.
give us much new, which
Mhm.
I like. I like to go in
Yeah.
surprised. I'm looking forward to And the
Yeah.
other beautiful thing of the show is it's like you could just totally hate the direction one episode goes into, and you don't have to worry about next week because it's going to be
That's
something very
true.
different. Yeah.
I would say there's from older Star Trek, which is more episodic. There are some episodes where I'm like, oh yeah, I hate that episode. The next episode, I'm like, amazing, let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Mhm.
And you can even like the same character, even, it's just like, oh, okay, I hated you last episode.
Mhm. Oh, Geordi.
Yeah.
I
Actually, oh no, I won't spoil it. There's something. Never mind.
Yeah, Arthur's excited. He says June 15th can't come quick enough.
Mhm.
Joanne's saying that she's having a lot of fun, watching my streams. She's not a gamer, so yeah, it's probably a good way for her to, watch the story. So thank you,
I might
Joanne.
have
Glad
to go
you
catch up on
enjoyed.
your streams later because I wasn't watching because I was like, oh, we're gonna play, and no, I don't unless I buy something to play it on.
They did a really good job with the outside space feel. Like it
Mhm.
really felt sweeping and epic, and you felt your size in the universe. I
That's
think.
cool.
Yeah,
Gaming
all
wise.
the aesthetics. They do a good job of capturing what I think a lot of people would want out of Star Trek, especially if you're into like that 24th century.
I just want something where you can just walk around and talk to people.
You want to point it?
that-
I honestly, I want a Star Trek point and click or just like cozy game. You just chill on a spaceship.
yeah.
There's a TNG point and click from back in
Ooh.
on Windows 95. I remember. My neighbors across the street had it. I walked over there and played it on their computer.
That's funny.
Probably
Cool.
like, why is this kid over here? Like we're trying to have some family time together.
We
and,
don't
like,
even
this-
have kids.
yeah, just like this weirdo from across the streets just in our house all the time. Well, yeah, on that note, I'm gonna go get ready to play Resurgence, but I hope people tune in for that, and I hope that y'all come back Friday when I'll talk about that game, kind of like the entire experience in detail. But until then, as always, live long and prosper, y'all.